Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today it's another trying to fix video, and this time we're back on the Nintendo Switch again. So this was sent in to me by Paul, and he thinks he knows what's wrong with it. So basically he's written me a little note that I'm not going to look at unless it's an emergency. So I'm going to take a look at it, see if I can work out what it is, and then towards the end of the video we'll see what Paul thinks is wrong with it. First, let's plug the little USB charger into it and see what it's doing. Right, so 0.39, so now it should go down to 0 and then go up to 1.4 or whatever it goes up to, but he said it's not doing that, so it's basically stuck at this here. Let's just do the normal thing. Let's just try to turn it off by holding down the power button, see if that makes any difference. Right, it's dropped to 30. Okay, didn't drop to 0 though, did it? Right, let's unplug it and plug it back in again. Yeah, 0.39. I'm just going to have a quick look in this little port here, see what it looks like with my eye loop in the USB-C port. Well, to my eye, it doesn't seem too bad. Kind of looks okay. I can't see any loads of pins bent out of the way or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is, just off camera, I'm just going to plug it into my computer just to see if it recognises it as a USB. No, it's definitely not being recognised. Let's take this thing apart and see if we can do some testing on the capacitor, see if we can find out what is what's gone wrong. Straight away I'm looking and something doesn't quite look right with this screen connector down here. So if you have a look, can you see there's like a dark patch here, and also it looks like the actual ribbon cable itself has been scraped. Let me put it on macro so we can get a real close look. Right, can you see there? There's like a dark patch, isn't there? Just here. So that doesn't look right. So I think what we'll do is, what should we do to begin with? Well, I suppose first of all, let's take away the battery. Let's measure the battery, see if there's anything in the battery. Right, 3.1, so that's low, isn't it? Should be 3.7. So that's yeah, that is very low. Okay, let's see if I've got a battery to plug in here, just to see if the reading changes on our little USB reader. Okay, so I have a good switch here. This battery's showing about 80-something%. So let's see if I can connect this up and see what happens. Right, so it's going to 39. Let's see if it jumps up to 140. Yeah, there you go, 0 and 130. Right, okay. So that says to me that this is now on. Let's have a look at the actual screen and see if there's anything, because I think there's still a problem with the screen. Did I hear something there? Oh no, it's gone down again, hasn't it? Hold on. There you go, listen. There you go. So there's nothing displaying on the screen. You definitely heard that the switch was on, but there's nothing on the display. So, worst case scenario, battery replacement, and it should work as a dock switch, because we can just undo that ribbon cable if that is the faulty thing. So yeah, let's undo a little bit more of this. Right, so let's zoom right in now. I've got to be really careful with this connector because they cause me a lot of bother. Okay, so here it is, and you can see whatever the damage is up here. So I'm just going to get something wide to lift this up with, and I'm going to do it on both sides at the same time. There we go, look. So that's the offending bit there. Now I wonder, is it actually on the motherboard or not? Still looks a bit dark in there, doesn't it? Can you see the corresponding one? I wonder whether it's putting some kind of... Well, mind you, it's not putting a short. I had it once where it wouldn't turn on because it was the ribbon cable was putting like a short to ground on it. Now I wonder, can this be cleaned up? I'm just going to gently try to clean that with a fiberglass brush just to see if it cleans up or not. Just trying to go in line with the pins so I don't damage everything. do? I'm just going to have a look under my loop. Right, okay, I think the ribbon cable is going to be okay. It's just the actual board here which looks a bit bad. So I'm going to get some IPA. I'm going to try to clean up both of them and see if that makes any difference or not. So IPA is 99.9% alcohol, and I'm just using a little flux brush in it to try and try to give it a bit of a clean. Well, I think we'll try and put it back in now. You can see that the blackness has gone from it. Yes, I've taken off the kind of gold plating or whatever's on it, but at least now it should still be conductive. So let's try and ease this back in. That should be insulated from the other one. Let's see what happens now. Right, it's gone to 0. Right, so now the switch is on. But there's still no display. So now, is that because the connection's bad, or is it the LCD itself, I wonder? I think I'm going to put this over onto my dock and see what happens, because I can use the dock extender. Okay, so I've got my dock here with the dock extender coming out the top. So if I plug this into here, we can see whether it's going to dock on the TV or not. Right, so let's see if anything happens up on screen. Yes, there you go. It docks. Fantastic. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to plug in the Joy-Cons, see if these sync up. Right, okay, so at this moment in time, it appears to be a working switch, but only in docked mode, and you can see it's charging up there. So Paul will basically need to get himself a battery. I haven't got a spare battery. But let's see if we can work out what's happening with this screen, whether it is a faulty LCD or whether it's a faulty LCD connector on the motherboard. Let's bring this back over to the desk now and find out about this LCD. Right, just before I start messing around with the LCD screen, I'm just going to leave it plugged in for a while because I've got to do a school run anyway. If you have a look, it's now showing 3.4 volts. Originally when I plugged it in, I think it was 3.2 something. And if you keep watching it, it is going up slowly. In a minute it will be 409, then it will be 410. So I'm just going to leave this plugged in. What I've done is, it's just still plugged into here. What I've done is I've just disconnected the screen cable from it, because whatever the fault is on here, it keeps making the display, the backlight light up. So obviously it can't get a charge because the backlight is constantly on. So I've unplugged this now, held down the power button, and it does appear to have turned itself off. Because if we can get this battery revived, then that will be really good, because obviously it means that Paul doesn't have to buy a new battery. Okay, so it's been about an hour now, so let's see what's happening with this battery now. See if it's gone up. So I'm just going to do it while it's charging, and then I'm going to unplug the charger, take this off and actually get a reading on the battery itself. So we're on DC. Right, okay, so look at that. It's nearly gone up to 3.8. You can still see it's rising. Right, let's unplug this now, and let's take out the battery, and let's see what the actual battery's testing by itself. See if it's gone up from whatever it was, 3.2. It has, look, 3.7, fantastic. So maybe the battery will be savable. I'll probably have to charge it up for quite a bit longer. I'm just going to see what happens now if I plug this one in, see if we get any life out of it. Right, 41, let's see if it drops down now. Yes, it's dropped down. Brilliant. 1.31, so now this switch should be on. Excellent. Result. Okay, so it looks like the battery will be savable, so now we have to find out what's happening with this screen. Okay, so it's been about an hour now, so let's see what's happening. Right, so here we have this little charge chip here, you know, the one just below the fan and to the right of the main chips. And if you have a look at this capacitor here, so the rest are showing okay. You see if I go between here, only on one side, but look at this one. Short in there and short in there. Yeah. So now I'm going to zoom out a bit. We're going to unplug that ribbon cable and see if that short stays or goes. So now the screen's been disconnected. There you go, it's just underneath now. Let's zoom in again. Right, so now if you listen, shorting, not shorting. Yeah. So when we put the ribbon cable in, it's putting a short on the side that goes to the chip. So now what I'll have to do is I have to take the board out. I'm going to look really closely in here to see if I can see anything. Maybe I'll be able to see a pin that's kind of crossed over with another one. In which case then there might be a chance, a very slim chance, that we might be able to uncross it. I'm just going to be zooming in and having a look. Right, okay, it's very hard to see, but I think when I'm looking through my eye loop here, can you see that you can see, like, look, a pin? No, I'm not talking about the big pins that soldered to the board, the little ones here. So big pin here, then look at the little, big, little, big, missing. Okay, big pin, little pin, blah, 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 all the way along. Look, missing. Can you see? And then they come back again. So there's two missing from here and there's one missing from here. Right, you ready? That's how small we're dealing with. Yeah. If you've seen that, you think it was just a tiny little metal splinter. That is one of the pins, and that was going across about 3 or 4 contacts. So basically, this is the faulty connector here, and the white bits are the bit up the top, and then the gold bits are the bit at the bottom, and the ribbon cable sandwiches itself in between there. So you can see it's like silver, gold, silver, gold, silver, gold, and we move our way along, and this is the damaged area here. You see there, so we've got silver, gold, good, and then silver, gold, top pins are good, silver, top pin, gold pin, but there is no bottom pin, so we're missing 3 pins there. 2 of them are curled up there. Yeah, like that, you see. And if you have a look at the pins at the bottom, can you see on the black there's like a pin, and then there's 2 missing pins here. Then a pin somewhere there, pin. So the 2 bottom ones are the ones that snapped off completely, but these 2 here are all bent over. So there's absolutely no way of fixing that, unfortunately. Now if you were really good with soldering, possibly you could solder a wire onto the back, then onto the ribbon cable, but for me, no, it's going to be too hard. It needs a new connector. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it all back together and see if it's still working on the TV. I'm just going to put a new bit of thermal paste on it as well. Okay, so this is my switch put back together. Luckily that's still working. This is Paul's switch here, and listen. You can hear it's on. So let's sync up the Joy-Cons. Yeah. Excellent. Right, now let's take them off and let's see if it docks, and we'll also try a game card as well. So pop it into there. Green lights on. Yay! There we go. Excellent. Okay, let's just pop the game card in. Yes, fantastic. Excellent. So that is working. There we have it, working absolutely fine. Is it as good as a proper working switch? No, of course not, because you can't do it in handheld mode. But it's still definitely better than not working at all. So now let's have a look down and see what Paul thought the problem was. Checked it over, as it seems the regulator max blah 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 south of the eMMC module has developed a fault. Okay, so just south of the eMMC is this little regulator here. So Paul's on about this little one here, the shiny black one. I've looked at these before. This is a BGA chip, so there's loads of little solder balls underneath there. I think in this instance that, no, I don't think there is a fault with this. I think maybe Paul might have checked, I'm just guessing here, I'm thinking maybe he checked the capacitors and maybe one of them was shorting to ground. Just like, do you remember the capacitor down here that was shorting to ground? Because there was a fault on here. But remember when I took the ribbon cable out, then the short went. I mean, I didn't check for shorts here, but the switch itself is working fine, and you can see there was damage on the actual ribbon connector. In this instance, I feel fairly confident that if that ribbon cable connector was changed out, I think it would be absolutely fine, and I think the screen of this would be fine as well, because I managed to get rid of that burnt little bit. So I really enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys did too. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, and please subscribe for more Trying to Fix videos. Take care, bye now.